What we were talking at this conference, at the Great Conference, is actually what I have seen in my data. The temperature is rising, the salinity is rising, sea surface height is also rising. That's sad.
40% of people in the world live in the first 100 kilometers of the coastal zone. These territories represent only 8% of the inhabitable surface. That means that there is such a huge concentration of human population along the coastlines. But the interesting thing is that also 80% of the fishes out of the 13,000 known species are also living along the coast. This small space is so concentrated with everything, and that's why it's so precious, it's so valuable, and that's why also it is so hard to manage these spaces, because everything is so interlinked and everything is so complexly organized that we need to dedicate special attention for planning and management to these areas.
The impacts of climate change are already here, and we can already experience something. For instance, to the drought that affected the Po Valley last summer. This was an unprecedented event in the records for the last decades. The projections tell us that their frequency is going to increase. This increasing frequency of severe droughts with water shortages will be topped with other aspects, other factors such as the increase of temperatures, which increase the evapotranspiration.
Well, the future definitely brings us a rise of sea level, and when sea level rises, then the extreme events like the ones you have in Venice, for example Aqua Alta, will become even more frequent and they will become even more extreme than now.
In the past you have one extreme event in 100 years, and now it's more often maybe one event in 2 years and maybe even in 1 year.
During the stormy weather we have a rise of sea level and we have a lot of rain, and then the rain accumulates in the narrowest coastal strips and we have floods. In the same time we do not have developed urban infrastructure, particularly systems for rain water drainage.
These are all warning bells that things are happening, and so we have to find a solution for this.
The people are aware, but one thing is to be aware and another thing is to do something. We know all about climate changes, but they are global, but what is happening exactly at your place, how they will impact your coast, what you should do to mitigate all of this. That are real questions here. That is why scientists should be more active in that way towards the decision makers.
As the motto of the conference says, it is very urgent to act. We all know that. We have seen that this year with all the things that have happened in Italy and in Croatia with drought and flooding. So if we don't start adapting our territory now, it may be soon too late.
One direction is to try to slow down climate change, and the other is to try to adapt to expected climate change, because it will certainly happen and the sea level will certainly rise. So any future buildings or anything along the coast should take into account that sea level will probably rise for about half a meter by the end of 21st century.
We have organized this conference today to start our activities together with the stakeholders to collect and select from what has been financed and done in previous Interact projects in terms of good solutions, identify gaps which need to be filled.
It's a chance for Croatian side to implement green infrastructure, because green infrastructure long term is cheaper solution, more effective solution, and it does not produce CO2.
What I really personally believe is that Sustainable Development Goals are a good platform for collaboration, and this is something that can really help us to transform society towards the direction that we have as the only actually solution to the climate threats that we are now living.
This solution exists. Okay, now is the question of mine. This solution is more expensive, but I think that not do nothing is the most expensive.
Let's all together work so we can create as much as possible better future for other future generations.